So we'll do a round of introduction. Very brief, we'll keep it. Share your name, designation, organization's name, and one thing that you're passionate about. Let us see more about you and get to know each other better. So I'll just go first. I'm Pooja Gupta, Associate Editor at ETHRWorld, and I'm very passionate about yoga. I've been doing it.
Thank you. Hi, morning everyone. My name is Raman. I work for a company called PDS Limited. We are a $1.2 billion B2B sourcing company for the best retail brands across the globe. I'm the group CHRO. And my passion is I'm more a travel enthusiast. I love to travel and explore more heritage sites. So that's what I try to do every year on my vacations.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bindu Jacob. My designation, you can call me, I'm the influencer of the organization. I prefer being known as that. What does UFO do? It's not an unidentified flying object. So it's just a name. It's not an acronym to anything, but we are responsible for getting the movies from the analog to the digital format. That's a technology that the company has brought in, and that's the promoter's brainchild. So it's a very much Indian company, and my passion, really I've not identified one, but I draw, I paint, and I run. So I've done 32 marathons all over first of all. And basically marathons are my reflection time. So that's my self-reflection time. That's the only time I get to talk to myself. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amit Prasad. I'm working with Hetic India, which is a German MNC, as a CHRO for India and Middle East. And one thing about passion, I'm a lawn tennis player, so I enjoy playing tennis. So this is one thing that I do off going out from the office. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Sheetal Sawant. I head HR for Aries Technology Group. As the name suggests, the organization is into technology. What we do is we support and help our clients to set up their COE center, managed services, and consulting line of business. My passion, I'm into kickboxing. I've been practicing that for over 7 years now, and since my younger days, I've always been into fitness. So I think I just try different form of fitness. I will eventually get bored with kickboxing, and I think I'll find something new then. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good morning. Manisha Patil, and I'm General Manager and Head HR and Administration for CMS Computers. With CMS, I'm almost for now 25 years. Okay, so you can call me. I don't want to become a furniture though. Yeah. So I mean, CMS is an IT company, even it is 47-year-old company now, and mostly into smart cities, e-governance, and energy management with managed services. And my passion is dancing. Wow. So I dance. If even I get stressed, I ensure that at least for 10 minutes I dance and I remove all the frustration, anger, or whatever. So I love dancing.
Good morning, all. My name is Prakash, and I head HR for Prime Focus Technologies. I was sharing with some of you that we are about 10,000 employees now, and have been growing since 2000 onwards. So around 23 years of overall journey for the organization. My passion is swimming and badminton. These are the two sports I take time off to ensure that I give some time to my own self as well. So that's about it. Thank you.
Good morning, all. My name is Ramchandra Patil. I head HR, which is IT services and product company into e-governance domain. Is that required? Okay. So in my professional life, I'm passionate about learning and development. And in my personal life, I'm passionate about cooking. Again, yeah, that's about me.
Great. So we kind of complete a full circle with two passionate people about cooking. And Manoj, I hope you're not reading our minds. So really great. Thanks once again for those wonderful introductions. And we recently got together with ADP and we created this report on future of HR and pay. This is an India-based report, and this was launched in the month of February, early Feb, at one of our conferences. And after that, we've done a lot of roundtables around the insights that emerge from this report. So I just want to share a glimpse of how this report came into being and how we kind of launched it. And after that, I'll request Rahul to share with us some of the key points from this report, which will be really valuable for the rest of our discussion. No, certainly, please, with you.
It's the first time someone is doing a research on payroll in India, and very proud to say that this is dedicated to thousands and thousands of payroll professionals, payroll executives, who are kind of unsung heroes of the corporate world.
We've just, as part of the Future of Pay in India report, we've been delving into what does the next 3 to 5 years look like. And flexibility of pay is coming up time and time again. And it relates quite strongly to financial wellness. Medium and large enterprises between 500 and 5,000 employees, and also interviewed some senior leaders. And we found that 80% of them agreed that they will need to introduce some sort of faster or early access to pay.
I think there will be greater amplification of human-centered approach, right? So, and this would be juxtaposed with teamwork, right? What we would also see, especially in India, is distributed workforce across the country. It's no more confined to metros.
So, just to give you a small context, we've done a lot of roundtables after the report was launched, and this is actually the last one. Yeah, it so happened that we are doing the last roundtable in this series in Mumbai. So, with that, I'll request Rahul to share with us key summary from the report.
Right.
You want to put that light off now? Yeah. Because it's not required.
Okay. I'll go there.
Do you want me to shift across?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. There is a seat. Yep.
Okay, I'm just wondering where is the right angle where I can see everything. Okay, thank you. All right, so welcome again, and I won't steal much of our valuable time for the discussion, so we'll zip through it fairly fast. Just highlighting a few items, right? So, and much of these statements and facts and things that we discovered after interviewing 200 mid-sized organizations across the country, across various industries, across tier 1 cities, not tier 2 cities. I think the essence is that many of these ideas that we have, they get reinforced, and this report is a validation of many things that we know. So There is nothing which is eye-popping that will come out, but I think, such kind of studies and reports really reinforces whatever we do and validates that viewpoint. So just a quick snapshot of what we do. We serve a million businesses across the world. We pay for 40 million people every month. So that's a significant amount of workforce. Also, we pass through a lot of money and disperse salaries to the employees, and that's like $3.1 trillion. So equivalent to Indian GDP if you look at it. So every sixth American would be paid by ADP in the country. So 16.5 billion USD is our turnover, and we have clients across 140 countries. So why I'm saying this is we continue producing a lot of research. So we have ADP Research Institute, and we do original research on people behavior, employee behaviors, workplace practices, etc. So if you go to our website, you can download these original research, and we have in our team some of the very finest anthropologists, psychologists, and economists as well, who do this research. So these are very valuable, especially post-pandemic, as we see the behaviors changing. So 200 companies were surveyed, mid-sized organizations, and we define mid-sized organizations as employee sizes between 500 to 200 to 2,500 head count, tier 1 cities, and largely HR, finance, and payroll functions were interviewed across the industry segment. But when we look at industry these days in India, technology becomes predominant, followed by manufacturing largely. 3 emerging trends, right? So though you would have the report and it's available online as well, I think 3 important things. One is there is a big shift in pay happening, and what are those themes, underlying themes? So importance of payroll data. So over last 2-3 years, we see that every managing director, the management team, they want more and more deeper dive into payroll data. Why? Diversity has become an important thing. If we have to do gender pay parity, payroll data is important. Workforce composition decisions is important. So besides, of course, data security is very important. It's very data sensitive subject, payroll. But I think the entire payroll function is gaining voice on the table. It's not like age-old electricity provision. If it continues, no one bothers. But I think people are really looking at it, what's happening behind the scenes, how we can utilize this data to take some decisions. Second thing, which is absolutely ignored, and I can say it being in payroll industry for a while, no one bothers payroll function, right? Hey, how are they skilled? There's no university that I could recall in India which teaches a formal structured course on payroll and compliances, right? So the payroll professionals, it's like growing your own boat. They come up, but they do not have that structured information, structured knowledge base. And that doesn't help these days, right? Because now you have to do a lot of analytics, you have to do a lot of automation, you have to do a lot of transformation, participate in those transformation projects. And I think that's something that all of us together would have to invest in our payroll teams to upskill them, to bring them to the next level. And the third, very interesting, and this is something new, as we surveyed most of the organizations, and maybe pandemic was a trigger point here, they're saying that employees are asking for multiple frequency. Monthly cycle of pay is perhaps not adequate. Can we have many more pay cycles? Easy access to pay as well, right? So multiple dimensions of pay is coming across, as well as hyper personalization of pay, right? So these are some of the elements for which really which we have to think through and see how we can incorporate wherever and however it's possible. So these were the three key emerging themes. I spoke about importance of payroll data. So 90% respondents, they consider that payroll data is very important for growth strategies, workforce management, cost management, etc. No brainer here. But what is interesting is 40% of the management folks, they are asking for more payroll insights from the payroll function, right? So the number of queries that the payroll function is receiving is much higher, and to us it indicates, hey, whenever the CEO is taking a decision, whenever head HRs are taking decisions, they are looking at payroll data a lot more granularly than ever before. And of course, we are all in a labor tight, talent tight market, and it's not going to improve so very quickly in near future. All that payroll data impacts attraction, retention strategies, and we know about these things. This is important. Why it's important is many organizations, we all know transformation is a buzzword. Everyone undergoes through a transformation, especially when there is a introduction of a big IT intervention. Many organizations, they did not use payroll as a central theme, and I think that was not the right approach in my point of view. Payroll is the most data intensive, most data sensitive, calculation oriented piece in the entire HR spectrum, or rather in the entire organization as well. And any transformation that does not involve payroll is perhaps not complete. So what we found is payroll is that forms a transformation, central part of transformation. And it's not about automating the payroll function. It's all about how do you integrate data input and data outflow as well. And one should not build oil refinery within a company with a lot of plumbing happening all over. How you ease the data flow. That's very important, right? Payroll function, the folks who do payroll, I call them unsung heroes, because be it pandemic or not, they keep paying us our wages in time, all time. And I think they require a little bit of investment of time, skills, upgrading their skills, bringing them to the new way of doing things, right? So I think this report talks about that, and I think I like this part of this piece in the entire report. This is interesting, right? So we all know about flexi pay. So as the organizations are emerging, many organizations, as the new world of work emerging, many organizations are thinking for different employee groups. Let's have different structures, customize, personalize the pay structures, right, to different category of people. We all know worker category would be different from management staff. That all we know. But within the management staff, within the mid management, how do we manage the Gen Z actually? Can we give them a different pay structure which is much more suitable to their requirements? So those thoughts are very predominant now. And with a growing young workforce in any organization, right? So I think what is important is access to pay. Why should I wait for 30 days? I have worked for 15 days. I have an excellency. I should be able to get my pay today, right? Those are the kind of vocal feelings emerging, right? And how do we have multiple frequency of pay? And this entire gig worker movement indicates that, right? So I think we have to think, I won't say out of box, but maybe do some kind of re-engineering and re-innovation in this space, right? So I think this is what the entire report is all about. One important point that came out, right? So people say, hey, I'm paid less and my neighborhood company is paying me more, etc. Right? There's a lot of comparison that happens. And what we found is that whilst the pay may vary from company to company, but what is common across is ability of an organization to talk about financial wellness, taxation literacy, what is net take home, gross, etc. Right? So our ability to educate an employee, and especially when there are so many college to corporate employees these days, right? It's kind of lacking, right? And when we do that, especially the 1 to 5 year tenure workforce, they start to appreciate what is my company doing for me? How can I use my financial package that I get to the most appropriate way? So suddenly they find that, hey, I'm paid all right, right? So I'm not really paid less than the next door company, right? So I think a little bit of focus on financial wellness would really help us to retain employees, right? So that's interesting, and of course it builds trust and culture, transparency, etc. Uh, and I spoke about early access wage. That's really picking up. So there are quite a few vendors in the market who are offering this service, and I think we might like to explore some of those multiple frequency, customized pay structure, etc. Multiple pay frequency may not be yet possible in India given the legislative regulations that we have, but I think I'm sure government will have a look at it at some point in time. So that's in a nutshell. Yes, please.
When you say payment method means?
So payment method is why should I get paid at the end of the month through the bank account, right? Can I not have alternative methods of payment, right? Can I not have digital payment, digital wallet, kind of a thing, right? We found some answers like, I have these third-party payments. Why does the company not send money directly to them?
Okay.
Any other question for Rahul before we move on?
So you mentioned about early access to pay, right? So are there any companies in India who are already practicing it?
Yes, there are quite a few companies. In US, it's a very common practice.
Yeah.
So there is a company called Early Salary. There is a company called Refine, REFINE. There are quite a few companies, but the concept is still at its infancy, right? So we have to, they also lend money and charge interest. So we have to really work that out, right? It should not be a burden to the employees. We're trying to help them, but they should not get caught in a debt trap, right?
So Early Salary is a company which is actually helping companies to do this process. Yeah. They are not doing it.
No. So Manoj, it's like this, right?
So in a way, it works as salary advance.
Yeah,
If you look at it,
it's
it's
the
the same thing.
They actually also approached us, right? And they say that in case if suppose your employees need salary, let's say 8 days prior, so we can give them. But as like he said, they will charge interest.
So the concept of early wage is like this, right? This is a true concept, right? So the concept is like this, that I have worked for 15 days and I should be eligible to earn my wage for the work that I have done, which is like for 15 days. So it's preponing the salary payment, but it's not in advance because this money is rightfully for me, right?
In other company also it is working that way. So earlier the payroll, we call it as shared services team, used to be like run a payroll once a month and then for 15 days they are busy with some other work and all that. But nowadays it's like throughout the month they have to keep on, doing the salaries, the wages. There are hourly basis, transaction basis, then advances. I mean, a lot of employees, they do need advances for their, financial support and all.
Yeah.
So we have to keep shared services engaged throughout the month now.
So then we'll proceed to
All right,
our
thank you.
roundtable discussion. So we've got two more joinees. We request you to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kevna Shah. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So I'm Kevna Shah and I lead HR for the Comforts Group into insurance and insurtech. Been in the HR space for about 15 years now and hope to learn some more about payroll like Rahul kind of put it, it's a new and upcoming piece now over and above the operations.
Sanjay.
Yeah. So I am Sanjay Kumar. I work for Apar Industries Limited. We are in the power sector, a manufacturing company for building blocks of the power sector. So we are one of the market leaders globally and in India, of course. I have worked in different industries, including IT, ITES, telecom, manufacturing, all of them, and fintech as well. So I think this is a great session for me to learn from. and exchange ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, the context for this discussion is that today HR is focused on balancing agile, people centric practices along with tech innovations. And what is required is basically a change mindset and intent. And this is how we kind of assess the pulse of leaders today. And in all this, because of the uncertainty going in the business world, financial wellness has also taken a center stage. And we see a need for leaders to continuously create awareness around financial wellness and help employees to manage cash better. Whatever benefits that you're designing for your workforce, how best that can be that it gives them better perceived value, better outcome, and better utilization. So this is what the context for today's discussion is, and then let's start. And I'll just throw the first question. Feel free to share your response on that. So, one of the insights that came from the report is that 30% of HR organizations want to elevate employee experience by using AI and RPA. So, what is your thought in that, and how are you doing it in your organization, and what are some of the best practices?
Should I start?
Maybe.
Yeah, please.
So, right from the annual surveys of employee engagement, there was a time, I think pre-COVID, when we started discussing that we don't need these annual surveys, should be quarterly. Then it was that it was anytime, anywhere. So through the HRMS, you get the engagement. I think the thought process now is that it's important to have annual surveys as well. This is my opinion. And in our company, what we are doing is, if you look at the pegging of the compensation at a certain percentile within your industry or within among all the other industries. So I think employee engagement is a business imperative. So if you are doing it well, then I think I'm not saying that pay employees less, but certainly your competitive edge becomes more to attract and retain people without being the highest pay master. So I think employee engagement is really important, and it manifests in different ways. When the job content becomes more important than the job context, that is the time when the employee is feeling that what is learning. So retention automatically happens, and the growth is happening by that. And the enabling environment is there where decision making is delegated to the juniors from the seniors, which is not very common. Despite giving the responsibility, decision making is not delegated. I think this really enhances the employee engagement. So if you see in Q12 of Gallup, so they don't have a question on compensation, on payroll, salary, compensation. But I feel practically, in my humble opinion, is that it does matter. Nevertheless, I think employee engagement, if you're doing really well, then I think it does trade off with compensation and makes you more competitive in the talent market.
No, very interesting perspective, and I like that how job context becomes more important than job content. So, building on that, I'd also like to ask you is how are you creating meaningful work journeys for your workforce? Because today they need purpose and they need an alignment with the work they're doing.
So, can I?
Yeah.
Go ahead. So I think for each and every employee, irrespective of their level or designation, what is that in for me? I think that is the question which we as an organization or as a professional need to answer. So for us, when it comes to ABM knowledgeware, of course, we are into e-governance domain, and we deal with state government, local municipal corporations. So the product and services that we provide, it is already used by I would say thousands of citizens. So we are already creating that social impact, and for us, for our employees, that becomes very engaging factor. So they are already motivated that their work has a direct impact on various citizens across various states. So for us, the kind of role that we are offering, I think that itself becomes very, I think, a tool for employee engagement. But apart from that, there are various things that we are doing. Of course, as he mentioned about the annual survey. So of course we do that annual survey. But apart from that, we believe in continuous engagement. So Employee Connect is integral part of employee engagement activity when it comes to ABM knowledgeware. So it could be one-on-one discussions, it could be team meetings, and now since I told you about, I'm passionate about learning and development. So coaching is one of the integral aspect of the learning and development, and I have certain certifications in that. So I think next week I'm starting coaching conversations for all my employees. And again, I'm not restricting these coaching conversations related to a professional matter, because I think we can't differentiate between personal and professional life when employees are spending 10 12 hours in office. So irrespective of whatever issue they would like to discuss with me or my team, we are fine with that. So that is another important employee engagement tool which we are utilizing. One more point is about reward and recognition. We all know how critical it is. So we have revamped our entire R&R program, and earlier there were different types of awards. But looking at the demographics, looking at the expectations of our employees, now we have changed the frequency. Now there are monthly awards, there are quarterly awards, and since we are customer-facing organization, so customer success champion is the recently, I would say, added award category, and it is a throughout the year. There is no frequency. So that is really working well for us. And since there are employees who have spent 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in our organizations, we have also added service award category. So I think it is really good for us as an organization to give away that award, because employees are really serving for 15, 20 years as well. I mean, there are 2 employees who have spent 25 years. So as an organization, it is really, I think, proud moment for us to say that, employees are sticking to us. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add what you mentioned about Employee Connect, I think that's very, very critical in having multiple levels of communication with our employees. So be it through open house or maybe one-on-one sessions with senior leadership team, or having like we have multiple sites, so we have site management committees. So there are interactions happening at different platforms. So that helps employees to get engaged more, and then have that thing going. Apart from that, empowerment is another area that basically employee looks for, I think, when it comes to employee engagement. But with the right kind of resource and tools provided, I think that will really help them get going. As you also rightly said, we need to celebrate milestones success as employee progresses, and with various rewards and programs like monthly, quarterly, or annual rewards. That will really help the employee to perform, deliver better, and get engaged to the organization.
So, Pooja, since you have already disclosed the question, so I could think and actually conceptualize my thought. Yes, actually, your question was related to employee engagement platforms. So see, with multi-locational forces and Gen Z coming into the picture, and like almost now everyone is tech savvy, right? So no organization can function to its peak unless these employee engagement platforms are not being used actually effectively. Because gone are the days when everyone used to be in some campus. So if you really want to keep all your employee connected, then these employee engagement platforms are the only way. So I wouldn't say these are now aspirational, rather these are necessities.
Okay,
but what some of the best examples, if you can share, of how you've made these platforms?
So if I may, go. So one of the things that we have done personally in our organizations, actually 2 things, right? So to your point about engagement platforms, bringing in tech, bringing it more virtual, whilst we all do our rewards and recognitions and town halls and all of that. I think from an HR point of view, that HR help desk shared services that was really getting overburdened with a lot of basic questions, right, coming in from employees. We all see that coming in time and again. So what we have done is we have developed an in-house chatbot, ARIA, which is just opens up for all of our employees when they open up their system, and you can have your basic level help desk HR questions answered right there with links and all. So they don't even need to send an email, they don't even need to ping somebody on Teams, they don't even need to call the HR. It's right there. And then the level 2 is more sort of more meaty questions, if I may say so, or meaty answers from the HR team. The second thing what we've done, and we've got great success here, I think whilst we do our employee satisfaction surveys and we see that great engagement surveys coming through, we also want to focus on the ones who not probably rated us that high, right? And maybe those are the guys or those are the employees who are not so comfortable to come face to face and have that conversation. However comfortable they might be with their HR partners and their managers, there will be some hesitation and resistance. So we have actually engaged with a tool which is like a virtual HR business partner called Amber, which keeps which keeps all the questions and the grievances absolutely anonymous. It has functionality to sort of to give confidential access to your teams, and only some folks of that teams get access. And then basis of the information coming in from the tool, you can work at the back with the team members, with the managers, keeping the required confidentiality and sensitivity. So I think these two tools in the recent times that we have implemented has given us the next level of success in tech and beyond what we generally do.
Can I just add something? So, I mean, it's the practices are pretty much similar in most of the organizations, is what I gather now. But there's one specific thing is what do you hire a person for? You don't hire talent, you're hiring a skill, you're hiring a strength. Basically, the rejections in interviews happen because he's weak on something. But now we've changed that pattern and saying he's strong on something. So that gets captured. That's the first thing that gets captured when a person comes into the system. Secondly, the person is not married I'm talking about my specific, he's not married to a specific department, like he's not married to the organization. So you utilize the strength of that employee across the organization in any department. So that that is specifically how we have started functioning. If you're an HR, but you have a specific strength that can support a business at a specific time, we use that employee for that strength, thus keeping him engaged and only helping him polish his strength further. So, simple example, I have an HR person today supporting the business, actual business operations, the caravan operations, because it is a government-linked operation where they're doing this Aadhaar promotion. But the HR or OD person is supporting that. Why? Because he has a specific strength at play that he's utilizing over there. So we have exposed employee strengths to that extent. Disciplinary action process and everything is of the past. Today, if you sit with a Gen Z and tell them, I'm putting you on a disciplinary action plan, doesn't work. Just doesn't work. So you typically try to work well with what is going on and what he can contribute better to the organization, and hence the attrition levels are bare minimum. Sometimes I actually pray why isn't there churn in the organization. So that's how you kind of maintain and engage people and lock them down within the organization. So premium for skill, the premium pay for skill, bonus for specific strength that you bring in, bonus payout for specific strength, one-time bonus for a project. Mr. Rahul spoke about the gig workforce. Gather them. They are the ones who will actually contribute, and you'll find them within the organization. So that's how we have kind of started working, and not just AI, not just any tool that throws up the strength. Our organization uses this typical approach because that's our business. Not heads down, the head up approach, because we are big screen entertainment. We are not the small screen handphone entertainment. But I tell my team, do the head down approach, because that is where in social media you will find the strength of every employee of your organization. Gather that, bring that out, because that is where the media actually throws. That is where technology throws out information of every employee, and it's out in public. Why would a person be on social media? Because they want to bring out something about them. That element is what you need to capture, and then utilize it within the system.
So what is this head down approach?
Sorry?
What is head down approach?
Mobile phone. Social media is all packed in there. So our organization says, don't go to the OTT platforms, do the head up approach, the big screen. We are into big screen entertainment. But I tell my team, go to the head down approach and gather inputs there. Yeah.
So what kind of inputs are you gathering from social media?
So strengths, what is it that the person is passionate about? How do you play with that employee's passion? If an employee is on social media, he's on social media because he's public about something. He's passionate about something and he wants to make that public. Sometimes you gather very extreme information about the employee too. If there's something really not going well with the employee also, some sentiments get gathered, but then work around those and then utilize them within the organization. So I want someone from the events for a specific program. I find an employee within the organization who is very good with events because he's done something in his or her college, or because they've done something elsewhere, or they are a part of some committee. Pick them up. I want someone who plays a guitar for some show. I want someone who is very good with kind of influencing. So pick up an influencer who is there in social media. So that's how you can keep the Gen Z engaged, and Gen X is already started getting there. If you see the number of social media platforms that we have started adopting, we are already there. So, yeah.
But just to add on to what Bindu said, actually, being in HR, it is very important for us to understand the ecosystem of the organization as well.
True.
So what we do is in pharma, let me just give you a little background. In pharma, we are just a 10-year-old organization, and within 10 years, when we launched, we may be the 25,000 plus organization to get introduced in pharma. And today, within 10 years, we reached about top 60 companies. Though we have a lot to cover now, but still, how we could able to do is we have understood what are our strengths, and we have built an ecosystem on two focused parameters. Like in pharma, if you understand a little bit about pharma, we have medical representatives who visit doctors, and each medical representative visits almost 200 to 250 doctors. And for each brand that he promotes, there are thousands of competitive brands. So it is very tough for a medical rep to generate a prescription from a doctor. So in that scenario, we are a young organization, so we have understood the challenge. So what we have done is we told we will not focus on multiple brands. We will focus on very simple per representative. There will be two brands that he will focus on, and there will be very specific set of customers. Instead of 200, 250 customers, we will focus on 70, 80 customers. Out of that, only 20 customers will be the ones who will make the difference. So that's how we have done the focused approach. And also we have understood what are the type of companies which are similar to us. So starting from hiring, what we have ensured is that we hire people from similar mindset, companies having similar marketing approach, similar mindset, so that from the beginning they understand what is the ecosystem is all about, and then they start performing from the day one. So hiring, then recruitment, onboarding also is done, making them understand about what are the priorities. And let me tell you, almost 80% of our total employee strength are less than 30 years of age, and medical reps in typical they are between 22 to 27 years. So they, as you know, how is the attention span of those reps? So if we will give them multiple tasks, so they may go haywire. So what we have done is we have defined that these are the customers, these are the brands, and these are the competitors, and these are the activities that you need to do. And you only focus on that, you will not do anything. And we have given dashboards. They have actually GPS reporting module, like each doctor they do visit, they do reporting there itself, so that they do not forget what they have done inside the chamber. And they mention each and everything that they do. So that, and at the end of every day, they know where they stand. In the dashboard it comes, which are the offers they made, what is the business they have generated, and how they are faring about their monthly target, annual target, what is the incentives, earning probability. We give actually 6% incentives of their total achievement. Suppose one person achieves 1 lakh per month. This is about pay actually. So we give actually, we do not pay very, we are not very high pay masters because industry we are new. So we have to look at our profitability as well. So what we do is we reward people with the incentives. So if someone achieves 1 lakh per month, they get 6,000 rupees clear cut incentives, even if their salary or allowances are comparatively lesser than other parts. So that dashboard provides them each and everything. How much is their incentive earning capability? If they achieve this much, how much they will earn, and there is no upper cap of earning. So if their target is 1 lakh and they do 5 lakhs, so they earn up to 5 lakhs. So there is no upper cap. So that's how we are trying to engage our employees. Still, as an industry, we are very high attrition. I do not say that we are not that fortunate like you, but still we could able to engage, and that makes us grow even 3 times faster than the industry growth. So that's how we try to engage actually.
So since we are talking about employee engagement platforms, so Loop Health is one insurance partner, and I think they are growing quite fast. So from last year, we are associated with Loop Health, and their mobile application is really working well for us. So as we all know, when it comes to employee engagement, physical fitness, mental fitness, and financial well-being or fitness is really important. So that app is serving all these three things, because there are multiple sessions related to your physical fitness, mental fitness, virtual sessions, as well as face-to-face discussions, face-to-face sessions also we are able to conduct with their help. Apart from that, all employees, not only employees, their family members, they have access to qualified doctors. I'm not saying only about MBBS, even super specialized MD and MS. So employees and their family members can book the appointments, and apart from typical physicians, you can also book appointment for counselors, psychologists, physiotherapists as well. So I think that is really working well for us, and that was evident when we got response from employees during our employee engagement survey.
What was the name of that? What you said?
Loop Health. It's an insurance company, insurance partner.
I think it's Loop, na?
Loop, L-loop.
So they're having a mobile app.
Yeah, mobile app.
Okay, great.
Well, there are
Yeah,
lots of
yes.
you'll find
So this is
Baha
one
as
area.
well,
Yeah,
so-
this is one area where I'm exploring right now because of that.
Loop Health is really good.
insurance providers. So we use ACO, and ACO also has that.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So I'll just
So
sorry,
couple of
sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Okay. So
Go on. But after that,
So
what? My turn. Okay.
your turn can
Not
be
fair.
before me as well.
Not fair.
Your turn can be before me.
Please
as
go
well.
ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So, as all of our colleagues spoke about automation, spoke about how would we go about doing the pulse surveys, we call it your voice survey within our organization.
That's not
Linking it back to the pay structure. Obviously, there are various feedbacks that come through. But what was evident was simplification of our structures. How do we simplify and for them to comprehend, for employees to have more visibility on enhanced salary, etc. And then you do the required backwards working towards simplifying the whole system and the process. The second point, apart from simplification, I know I'm talking about very, very basic stuff. However, that is what works, and that is what has worked for us as well. Second is the educating. You need to educate your employees, as you rightly mentioned. They are just coming out of campus and joining us, and they have no idea what a gratuity calculation is, probably, right? Or a PF calculation for that matter. Therefore, educating them constantly and ensuring that they have the required visibility ensures that they know what they're going to get at the end of the day. And these simple steps enable us to retain employees in the longer run as well. So that's something that your voice survey throws up to us, and that's how we have actioned these things as well. So just wanted to share that.
Great. Thank you. So there are a couple of points from my side. In fact, whatever we have shared, I'm more or less aligned with everything, but a couple of things. How do we see the HR in the organization? Say in any organization, This generation G is going to be there. But apart from that, we are having other employees also. So when we chalk out our HR plan, it has to be in holistic nature. So I'm in a firm believer that the way we practice, the usually used to practice, that human touch has to be there. Okay. But at the same time, the digitalization phase that is coming up, each and every organization is going to be get impacted. So the way we approach HR, the way we work right now, it is going to 100% change. Okay. So we will have to be prepared with that. So what Sital said is that the same thing we do. This I'll just take the same example. This pulse survey usually we do. But how I see it is that when digitalization was not there, one person, either his KRA was there or partial KPIs were there to do this pulse survey. So now digital number came and they are doing it frequently the way we want to do it. They are doing it. But what about that resource who is there in the HR? So that similar focus should be there on reskilling that resource also in HR, and we can use it for that. And another thing is that I was just having a discussion with my team at HETIC about the entire approach of digitalization. Then we took an approach that in HR there are some of the operations that we have that we call it maybe that we can outsource. That what Rahul said, maybe payroll, where a lot of our bandwidth is going on right now. So there are an entire HR focus should be on value added things, right? And what is value added? Connection, connecting. And once we do this Umber survey or Pulse survey, it throws us a lot of data. There are a lot of reports that comes out, and that requires us to take immediate action, approach those employees, speak to them, try to solve their issues. So that I call it value added activities that ideally our focus should be there. So this is what we are doing it. Third thing is that still I'm a firm believer that as a HR, our approach on communication should be very, very strong. But you are referring to, I'm a very firm believer that you are right. So it is not only a young generation who is not aware about the payroll. I have seen in multiple cases where there is a lot of ambiguity, non-clarity in terms of provident fund.
Correct.
Even the provident fund is getting detected for last 10 years. Still clarity is not there. So 90% grievances are generated because of less information, non-clarity. So we should be very, very strong in terms of connecting with employees, explaining them about pay structure and all. Third thing is that early pay that we were discussing about that. Yeah, it happens actually. To be honest, it happens everywhere. We call it advanced salary. We call it maybe whatever the policy in each and every organization, but it is happening. I don't see that any organization in the policies are very firm that salaries will be paid only at the end of the month. So if somebody is approaching, obviously we are far more flexible in that approving that and allowing the employee to get it. In fact, we are going much more ahead than that. If some financial crunch comes up, we just modify the policy. We give exceptional approval and help that employee, and that is bound to happen. So this is what it is. So it is in holistically we need to see the entire HR. That. Thank you.
So I would like to share with CMS what we have done from the engagement point of view is we have developed the internal CMS digital lounge. Okay, so it has an access to everyone. On that, the entire information about the HR policies, the upcoming events, what the next steps CMS is taking about, all that information is put across. And how we are engaging is like we conduct workplace surveys, right? So what we have done is we have put workplace happiness survey on that particular CDL platform, so that anyone, any point of time, if they have any suggestions they want to go through or they want to put something forward to us, they take that survey. So it's open throughout the year. And the second is we have like HR help desk there, wherein they can just reach to HR with their queries related to any shared services, talent management, or anything across. We also have a talk to CEO, talk to MD kind of, things, that we have put across, so that there is an open door policy wherein if you want to talk to CEO directly, you can just click on that button and you can reach out there. Then there are polls that we have put across. This is all internally developed. We haven't hired anything from outside. So any upcoming policies or we want to make any changes out across, then we ask for a poll view, so that we come to know that what are the, how the employees are looking at. So this is one thing from the engagement point of view. Then we are not looking as a complete CMS as a whole to drive any policies or engagement. We are breaking it like the team structures, the BU structures, the project structures that bring a lot of, connections with the employees. And then assigning each one with a buddy or HR business partner, so that they are in touch with those type of projects. Every project has been treated separately as an entity. So what is the working environment there? What are the work hours there? What are the benefits that project requires? Maybe the shift working, and accordingly the employees are engaged and given that type of support. So that is how we are doing in CMS.
So Manisha, you talked about HR help desk.
Yeah.
So is that the physical one or the portal?
No, it's on the portal, and then it has a ticketing system. So every query will have one ticket generated, and then it has a response and resolution time within what we are managing that.
Can I check in the
And
room?
also training the so when the young staff is coming from the campus, we call them as our future leaders, CMS future leaders. So it is important that our people managers and the leadership is assigned to them, so that they also know what is the demand of the young generations, because there is always a gap. We are there for a long time in the organization, and their thinking and the young generation thinking, sometimes there is a mismatch because they are very fast. I normally call that they have a fire in them. That means fast income, retire early. It's a fire in them, right? So, and we are spending 25 years, 30 years in the same organization. So we think about the way we were working during our times is these guys are just don't want to be that way. So that understanding, that gap has to be reduced by giving constant understanding about what the new generation is demanding for. So that training has to be given to the leadership or even the people managers who manage them.
So, would you all agree that by automating the employee engagement platform, it helps to elevate transparency, inclusion, these things? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
It definitely it helps, but it can't replace human touch.
Correct.
Agree.
I think
The
See, one
use
of the
of
thing that we did it-
information,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
use of information needs to be judiciously done by every leadership in the organization, and not every leader uses it that way. So basically, it's called a bias. I will use it the way I know it, way I understand it, and way I want to treat it. So information can be thrown to you at any given point of time. Similarly, like the way someone said, Rahul said, the CEO's demand for looking at data will be different from that of a CFO. And I actually am dealing with the situation today. The CEO will ask data in a specific way. I want to see cost in this way, but CFO looks at it in a different way. And I am here sitting and culling data and looking at how can I break it for both of them and present it to them in a platform. So use of information has to be done rightfully. Knowledge of how to use it is not common. And hence, like Mr. Ram said, the human touch has to continue.
Right.
Because that is where HR really plays a huge role of influencing every decision.
So, like Sheetal mentioned, while you introduced the chat box within your organization, even we did. And coming back to the human touch point, nobody puts in the questions there. I mean, they will end up reaching out to my team ultimately. And for every smallest of the queries, first of all, you have to input all the information from your side.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know that. And then after doing the entire work, the chat box absorption, despite multiple communication, is not there. So yes, while it is important that we try out these things, coming back to the same point that human touch.
I'll just
what
add
we-
here.
digital
has to wear a marketing cap.
Yeah.
When you are doing all these programs, it is important that you communicate through every day or every alternate day. Like what we do is, we are there to help you. Okay, please click this CMS help desk and let us know what you want to share. So such programs, okay, you come up with survey, you come up with some kind of initiatives in training and development. It should be like every alternate day there has to be a mailer going through. So branding and of the HR programs is important. So every HR person should now wear a marketing cap.
Change is
I just
anyways
want to
not an overnight
add
journey,
here.
right?
it takes time.
You know, I'm in a
takes
very
time.
unique situation. Maybe one, that's my personality. Two, I bump into businesses where HR is a business function. So I introduced myself wrong. I'm not a CHR. I'm a business leader in PDS. My focus is business, revenue, profitability, margins. I'm not tracked by gender diversity numbers, attrition numbers. I'm tracked by how I'm helping my colleagues become more empowered, my managers become more effective. That's my tracking. As a company, we do not have any special digital AI chat box. That's my manager, my go-to person in my company. So my the uniqueness of our organization is we are in 22 countries, 10,000 people, 50 business vertical, 120 entities. I only have 10 HR, right? But I have 500 managers. So they are my extended arms.
Got it.
When I stand up in a people forum, I say, people ask me, 10 people, 10,000 people company. I say, yeah, I have 500 HR partners on the ground. They manage my colleagues. We are a 7% annualized attrition organization. People touch is important, and I leave it to my managers. Right? People come to me and say, I have a problem. I said, have you spoken to your manager? If not, he is your first touch point. If he or she can't solve your problem, we are here to help you. Unfortunately, as I said, it's also about how you're built. I don't believe in pampering employees. I believe in strengthening employees. The more my advice to my teams, and I've done regional roles, global roles, don't become a crutch.
For
Let your employees run. I'm not here. I don't tell my business partner across the globe, Jaake pucho, Chinmay, how are you feeling? My guys go and say, Chinmay, how's the business? Right? Because that sets the tone. And it is not about not being people-centric. We are a great place to work in first instance, and HR will not take the credit. Payroll is on top of my mind, Rahul. My paycheck is $80 million globally. I track every number. Benefits is on my mind because it's a burden HR unfortunately creates in the name of benefits. Payroll, PF, gratuity. So those are the things that keep me engaged with business. And as you rightly said, CFO. If a number is asked by my CEO, the first point of contact for him is CFO. The CFO validates, Raman, मैं number दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है ना? मैं बोला, बिल्कुल ठीक है, आप दो. So I think the way PDS operates, I'm a business leader supporting my business managers. So my HR leaders, I sleep well at night. I'm not fortunately worried about attrition. I have no pressure of maintaining a diversity. My pressure is inclusion. I'm not working on PDS one culture. I'm working on inclusive culture because I have 50 businesses. So our thought process is I should allow 50 cultures to live together. So I may sound, that's why I was smiling and listening, because maybe I'm in a different zone. Maybe I'm in a lucky zone. Maybe I don't have to, and our job descriptions have no age. So I'm least worried about Gen Z or a bloomer or a baby or whatever you call it, XYZ, right? When we started our career, for somebody we were Gen Z. So in our organization, we don't say, oh, treat Chinmay differently than a young bloke. Treat everybody with respect. Give them a fair say. Fair salary is very important, Rahul. We are very clear. We will not cheat anybody. If somebody comes from a 10,000 rupee salary and the job was 30,000, we will offer 30,000. So I think those are some of the basic tenets that we have. So I don't have people who come to me and say, "Arey Chinmay ki salary mere se zyada hai." They may come to me and say, "Chinmay ka 10 saal ka experience hai, mera 5. Hamari salary same kyun hai?" My logic is you're in the same job. Yeah. So we are creating an organization. I will not say we're influenced by Netflix or other, but I think the role we play in HR is be the backbone of business. And in a way, don't let them make mistakes on compliance, ethics, code of conduct. That's one big role we play. And keep a hawk's eye on business number. So that's fortunately my organization.
Very respected.
Different perspective.
Business that you do your job and you take care of.
Well, we tell them you cross line, so it's like a football boundary. इसमें आप जो मर्जी करिए, the ball is with you. You cross a line, we will take action. So
Even managers should be empowered more to take care of
So technology is there, but we do not compromise on people connect at all. We
Very
travel, we meet, we spend money on engagement quite a lot. Like some of you said, technology और data इतना आ जाता है उसका करोगे क्या? It's a खिचड़ी. Then you are scratching your head, अरे इतना data आ गया, now I have to become more intelligent in front of my CEO, give him 20 slides. Our conversation are 30-minute, 5 slides is the best. That's what we do. Not a single meeting goes over 30 minutes. Anything more than that is like a waste of time for us. So थोड़ा different है. I am the first global CHRO for this company. This company was running for 20 years without an HR head. What more should I tell you?
Congratulations. That goes to you.
So it tells you how क्या होता है कि majority, and I come from MNC background where I was teaching managers, Chinmay, people management is your job. And all of us go through, right? Because unfortunately HR has donned that hat. कि लोगों का ठेका तो मैंने लिया हुआ. Sorry for using that word. It's not our job.
Yeah, true.
It is business is our job. Are you getting the numbers? Are you helping in profitability? आप 40 सर्वे करोगे, आपका business is loss making. I don't know what credit as an HR head I'll take ever in my life.
So I had this very interesting question, like I told you in my first that the HR guy is now supporting business.
Yeah.
You know, temporary. It's a short-term assignment. So the business guy, the revenue generator comes and tells me he must be scratching his head. Na kahan se kahan aaya? Kitna acha khasa job tha? Aur ab kahan aaya? So my response to him is, if in the organization we're managing people like you, it's very easy for him to manage people in the outside world. So don't worry. Leave it to us. We do it. So that's where it goes. So I really support the way, I mean, if he's created that kind of a power within those 500 people, it's brilliant. We should get there. We are getting there with small steps.
Bindu, it existed. My only job is not to take it away. From
Please do not take it away.
Like I
Let
tell
it
my
be.
HR leaders, I said, do not try motivating people. Your job is not to demotivate.
Yeah.
Motivation is intrinsic.
Correct.
I am not fooling myself कि मैं बिंदु से जाके बात करूंगा. बिंदु कहेगी ब्रह्मन ने बात की है, CHRO ने तो मैं 10 साल और रहूंगी. No.
ऐसा होता भी नहीं है.
नहीं.
Correct.
So clean your own mess. Clean your own mess. That's the first step. And then if it goes haywire and you really require that help, then the legal, the HR, we are there to support. So basically, that's what we need to kind of tell everyone. Don't let us clean it.
Yeah.
Just to support what he has told, actually, we have 2,000 odd sales reps span across Pan India. So what we have seen initial days was there was huge attrition between 0 to 1 year. So we have mandated that each line manager has to spend at least a week time while inducting a new person. So when we have seen that, when we have mandated, a lot of managers have done that, but still we could not see any reduction in terms of infant attrition. So now what we have initiated is that, as you rightly told, we got involved. Like in the first day, HR got involved, and we have brought in cross-functional teams. Like training team got involved on a daily basis, like from Monday till Friday. First day, HR will induct with the all processes. We'll brief actually along with the new general line manager as well, where he can have HR handbook, where he can log in to find out all the further details and all, where is the chatbot and all that. Second day, training team used, second and third day, training team got involved. So every day, morning 9 to 11, there will be a Zoom connect with the all new joiners across Pan India, wherein HO will connect with the new joiners along with the line manager. Second, third day will training. Fourth day will be marketing team briefing about the product strategies. And fifth day will be sales admin about their expenses, other admin stuff. So that we have initiated, which actually further enforce that line managers take it seriously. We have seen that initially line managers were not there. Only new inductees were there during Zoom session. So we ensured that line managers also attend that so that they take the ownership, as you have rightly told. And once we have ensured that, there was a almost like what it was earlier, there was almost 50% reduction in attrition that has happened. So sometimes managers also need a lot of push actually to make things happen.
Interesting. So next I'd like to ask you is about benefits. So, today is the world for hyper-personalized benefits. And they say that, your workforce is not looking for salaries itself. They're looking for more than that. So how are you designing a holistic benefit strategy in your organization, and how are you helping its utilization also?
Could I take that one? I think people are still looking for salaries because they want to, define their own way in how they are, creating or getting the benefits that they are. And most of the benefits packages that we have designed as HR or otherwise is to save taxes, frankly. And because everybody else provides medical claims and the group insurance and so on and so forth, is why it's become more of a hygiene factor. Having said that, benefits as I see it, and fortunately, unfortunately, I have been dealing largely with an audience which is sub 30. So their expectation largely is, I don't need insurance, I'm still too young, I don't need whatever XYZ because I'm too young, I need money in hand because that is where I want to spend it. So actually, in the first couple of days, even pre-engagement, so before they join, we try and organize, like Rahul pointed out, a financial literacy kind of a session, which is not very long, but it kind of gives you an understanding of, more take in hand. More you take it in hand, you actually spend more, and you really have nothing left at the end of the day to show for. So why, if at all, you need to invest in insurance, or why, if at all, you need, because we are in insurance and I've been in insurance for a while now, so why do you really need insurance? Not only because it's a tick in the box for motor, but for life and so on and so forth, is something that we try and pick it up. And then, based on how, talking about hyper personalization and so on and so forth, creating communities, once they are into the system, we have the option of them creating communities, people interested in sports, people interested in travel and so on and so forth, and then kind of bringing in more understanding and knowledge about saying where you can use your monies or benefits, using organization either as a, tying up with certain places which are having good travel packages, or some organizations which are having great sports memberships and so on and so forth, and personalizing them in bits and pieces. I'm not dealing with a 1,000 people workforce, so it helps me and makes it easier in that sense. But with, I'm pretty sure, part of automation, you can do that even for a larger setup. In fact, it's easier for a larger setup because you can tie up more. But benefits to that extent, I think, have to be still, they're still looking at comp in terms of money in hand. No matter how many benefits you otherwise, because you can't have benefits which are one size fits all. And as an organization, it is practically impossible to give them a completely personalized package.
So see, while as she rightly said, salary is the biggest benefit, right? We can talk about numerous things, but if CTC portion is not being taken care well, people will not believe in that. But I slightly differ from her. Once actually CTC part is addressed, there are actually other things which we emphasize, which is the strong financial health of the company. We say to actually new joinees that you are joining a company which is very stable, right? Never delayed on any payment, and of course, like other benefit, insurance and all this stuff, right? And then we also explain them that how you can continuously learn and grow in this organization. So these things certainly do matter once the primary needs of CTC is being addressed.
So in
Benefits
fact,
will come into a play or a differentiating factor only when
Yeah.
you have competing offers, right? That's where you look at
Yes,
the
yes. So,
second layer of benefits. But like I think the pulse in the room is salary is the most
yes,
important.
salary is the most important.
The
Yes.
one
So-
thing that we have seen in benefits in terms of personalization is the workforce and the generation of the workforce, right? So, whilst to what rightly Kevin has said, that probably the younger generation really does not go for the insurances and all of that, while slightly older generation will focus on insurances. And our organization, we have free of cost insurance for parent, so I don't pay premium for my parental cover, for example, right? So that goes a very long way for the 40 plus age group folks. The younger generation, what we have focused more, whilst everybody is on similar or same benefits, it's about marketing. It's about marketing your benefits to the right audience, right? So for the younger generation, it's those
Practically your
memberships or the deals with certain tie-ups.
So we have something
welcome
called as a
goodies
wedding
and all
leave,
of that.
for instance.
Yeah,
Because
marriage leave.
So
We
the
have
generation
that.
that is joining in is 25, 30 odd. And what they are looking at is, once I join and I'm going to get married, let's say in a year, I will not get that many leaves because I will be on probation or what have you. And we said, okay, fine, you have 5 days of wedding leave that is standardly given to everybody who, I mean, even if you're on probation, you can avail of it. It's a simple, basic stuff, but for at that point in time, that is the most important thing in life.
So it's about, I think it's marketing your benefits to the right age group. You might have a bouquet of benefits to be provided, but what is going to attract the kind of talent you are trying to attract and retain, right? So you just sort of focus, campaign towards that age group and then run that.
So in fact, my experience, I mean, you said parental coverage, 40 plus people do prefer more.
Right.
But my experience has been people younger lot. I mean, they are expecting, does the company have the parental coverage? So in fact, we were not having, honestly. So we are redesigning that, and then we are going to introduce that, because that has been a continuous feedback that we get when we hire candidates. Like, do you have that parental coverage? So that awareness is growing in the younger lot as well, I think. But rightly said, I think a lot of financial education, planning education needs to be there given to the employees, wherein even the younger generation, when they join an organization, they don't know. I mean, somebody was rightly saying that they don't know about PF, gratuity, even EDLI schemes. Not many people would know about it. NPS. Not many people are aware of it. What are the benefits? I mean, when they start early, the benefits could be immense. But yes, that education has not been there. But we have been trying to do that very recently. We have also redefined our salary structure. So we have introduced a customized allowance pool. In fact, what you are also saying, that people want to have that salary in hand. So how they design their own structure. So when they join the organizations, we give that flexibility of employees to redesign the structure, and basis which they can have that manage their tax better. So that's an advantage that they are seeing looking at it. So going forward, I think that's going to help us.
So
what we do is, depending upon the roles, we allow. So for certain roles, what we do is we do early counseling. Actually, rightly said, before they are going to join, and we offer them a CTC. We still like, okay, let's understand your personal aspirations. Okay, so what is it and all that. So sometimes then they want to do some leadership course. They want to engage. So then we package all that together into the CTC. Then explain them about the NPS, the saving things. We have a financial consultant who's been appointed to the company, who keeps talking about how do you invest, when do you invest, and what benefits are there about tax planning and all. Also, the banks which are associated with us, we tell them that you have to come up with the medical. We are giving the base thing. You can give a top up on that coverage. Then the banking rates, I mean on the home loans, marriage and all that, at the good rates, interest rates. So those tie-ups are there, which helps us, like, to help them. Okay, what are your aspirations? You want to grow, when you want to marry, or they say, okay, my parents have to be taken care. So accordingly, we package it as a CTC, and then we offer, so that the commitment is there. They should not feel that after joining, oh, I was told this and now I'm getting this. So both the sides, the commitment has to be there into the data, the system, so that it has been taken care even further, so that no commitment goes from HR, anything wrong. It's been documented and it's been given, that kind of.
Sanjay, you wanted to make a point.
Yeah. On the parental insurance, that's one challenge we're still grappling with, whether, to provide or not. Because, otherwise the revision of the premium, it really goes high because of the usage. So we had initiated it, we had stopped it. But the younger employees, they really, that's something which really attracts them. Yeah. So that's one thing we don't have an answer for, but it was interesting to hear. The second thing is looking at the various standard offerings of benefits from a kind of a gone by era now. So what it used to be is the company leaves accommodation, Earlier it used to be company owned accommodation also, then company leased accommodation, company leased car or a company car also. And I think other than that, there used to be hard furnishing. So all that is almost kind of gone away. And what really stays back now is the flexi basket, which you, I think, mentioned just now. So I would really seek some guidance from Rahul on the taxation bit also today. You know, if what are the possibilities of doing it? So, for example, can you really have a car lease in my wife's name or in my mother's name? Is that correct? If I don't have a car lease, can I really reimburse driver's salary and fuel?
Everyone is asking the same question.
I think you did this, so I think I missed some part.
So
in my company, sorry, just I'll complete that. So in my company, we have solved that problem. We still have an old age company car. That really helps us as a benefit in the sense that employees who travel from the corporate here in Mumbai to the factories in Silvassa and Umargaon near Vapi. So it is really cost effective for us also. So the company is doing it, gets a depreciation benefit as well. But anyway, so what could be there, the possibilities in Flexi?
So I have one philosophy, and that's what I communicate to my clients all the time, right? So we are all representatives of organizations, right? So we have a lot of fiduciary responsibility, right? And we have to participate in a growing India narrative. So any idea creative idea that inclines ourselves to save some taxes should not be entertained at a boardroom table, right? That may be very beneficial for an individual employee, but I would always suggest that we should have a conservative approach, because we represent organization which is much larger than an individual benefit or individuals, right? So and if we use that philosophy, then the choices are very limited. Then you would like to say that, okay, let me follow the rule, and I would not be very creative about doing things.
Fair point. One more
That's
perspective.
what we are doing. And I think just to cite, there are smaller things which one could do, like the newspaper and periodicals. You don't have to submit a bill also for that. If you put it in the bill, maybe 1,000 rupees per month only for the younger people, at least that also matters. It's not taxable. The Sodexo vouchers, the meal vouchers, let's say, and the uniform allowance. I mean, these are three things, smaller amounts, but which really help.
So, being a mid-sized organization, that is UFO Movies, the parental insurance that you spoke about, we could not definitely, from an organization perspective, give it free. So, pre-COVID, what we had done is we committed to 350 lives, and we got a corporate rate top up for this, and we covered 350 lives. But with a deal with the employee that you can pay the company in installments. The company is paying the entire money upfront. So that was a kind of breather. So we gave them installments of quarters and stuff. While every employee thought it was very expensive, though we got a corporate rate covering, because suddenly you have to pay that from your pocket. But we had to kind of terminate that policy. And during COVID, employees all stood up and saying, can we have the parental coverage once again? I mean, we couldn't just go, because suddenly the premiums went top roof during COVID, and there was absolutely no ways we could cover employees. And today that demand is coming back again, saying, now can we cover? So there was some amount of experience and learning during that situation where employees realized that we want the parental coverage. We are still trying our hands on it, whether we can get a decent premium amount with a top up, because the company will not be able to finance that. We'll put it back on the employee. Two, from an insurance and a benefit perspective, I deal with two different age groups. So the leadership team is all above 50, and then you have the rest of the population who average at around 30, 32. So, their demands are huge. So we have come up with a negotiation with our service provider, saying that for the leadership, can we have a different kind of a policy, different cover, everything different, with a bouquet of services that we can give. And that's one thing that we can do. It works to the extent that can we even cover your lens, because by the time you grow you need specs, right? तो वो भी cover कर लेते हैं हम. सबको है यहाँ पे. So that also we try to give, one added benefit, one added feature every year. So that is something that they look forward to. For the rest of the employees who do not even go for a medical checkup, though the company is saying I'm giving it free of cost, मुझे जाना नहीं है because I'll have to come from home, come to this location and do a medical checkup. What we do is we tie up medical checkups every quarter on various this within the organization. So we give them that kind of a benefit. So one quarter we do an eye checkup, the second quarter we do a complete health checkup. So I'm telling you, the number of employees that covered are almost 80-85%. As compared to those, if we have to ask them to go and get themselves checked up, it would be bare minimum 20-25% who would use those services, while the company is giving it free of cost. So I use the organization's resources within the organization. देना क्या है, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एक बिस्किट का पैकेट और चाय देना है, ठीक है, but you'll at least get them checked up. At least ensure that the fitness, that well-being is supported, and all various things. Of course, every part is covered. So that is the kind of thing that we've worked within UFO movies.
So,
and yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, you finish that.
Yeah. And flexi working hours. So while we define our business working hours, the time you come in and the time you go out can be flexible. So there are certain business peak hours that we want employees, core hours to be in. Rest, make it flexible. So, and moonlighting, there are people who come joining us saying, मैं freelancing करता हूँ, weekend पे चलेगा क्या? Please go ahead and do it. As far as there is absolutely no security threat to the organization in terms of information, we are fine. So moonlighting efforts, we support that, because that is that addition. Yeah, there is a kind of
non-competition.
Yes. We get them to sign it, and we have quite a lot of consultants who do that. So we are okay with it, because that is that added source of income. And like someone said, I want to retire early. They actually want to earn today, and they do cost saving measures. Today's generation actually looks at, I'm talking about my kids. I give them 500 rupees, they will actually eat in 100 rupees, and they say I've saved 400.
Wow, you've got nice kids.
So
I know kids who spend all 500.
Zomato, Swiggy, really,
exactly, and ask for more.
Yeah, because they explore the net, they find various options. They will say, मैंने इस पे आपको, I have applied a coupon for you, so you don't have to spend more. So they use all these options. They are more friendly, in terms of those kind of efforts. So use it to their benefit.
More aware. So Rahul, you wanted to make a point.
So I wanted to, so I've been participating in several roundtables like that, right, for post-pandemic last 2 years. So immediately when we came out of pandemic, people wanted to put more money to the employees' account. So they were searching for benefits all over. And there was a kind of a rat race. मेरे benefits ज़्यादा हैं from that, right? And
people were announcing it in headlines.
Absolutely. So there was a competition, who gives better benefits, faster benefits, and things like that. So it was like, as Raman said, pampering of employees, right? And the conversations now we are having, we are saying, hey, we will give benefits for their mental health, and it's not monetary benefits. It's company-wide facilities available for mental well-being, for physical well-being, wellness, and so on and so forth, right? So I think what I wanted to highlight is there is a dramatic shift, right? So and I think we should appreciate that, just giving monetary and money in the pocket doesn't help most of the times, right? So that was one. Second point, I think you well articulated, right? So measuring time. So many organizations say that, hey, our culture is trust and transparency. Fantastic. Everyone would like to do that. But there are always a set of people who would abuse this trust and transparency and empowerment and freedom and things like that, right? There will always be, out of 100 people, there will be 10 people who will not misuse this, right? And therefore, there has to be measurement systems in place. There has to be time and attendance systems in place. So my point was that don't sacrifice systems processes just to build. Both are mutually exclusive, right? So I just wanted to say that moonlighting is a very, very clear example, right? You have to sign those declarations. You have to have certain guardrails around it, right?
So in this last phase of discussion, I just wanted to get into the payroll part of discussion. You want to make a point, Praful?
I just want to make a point that on the insurance front, we never stopped the medical insurance and the parental cover for our employees all these years. CMS did not. We have a co-payment, but post-pandemic, we started, the term insurance for our employees. And for every employee, there is a term insurance that we have given, and we make them understand why the term insurance is required. Because with the loss of lives and all that happened, and when they were the only earning source of, the family, it was like, the company got into a tremendous, how do we help them? And taking the contribution, voluntary contribution doesn't help to that much. So we made sure that we, took a group term insurance. And every project, as you said, you have to have a different, you cannot have an overall company thing, otherwise the premium goes very high. So every project has its own insurance policy with that kind of a sum insured and the premium. And we don't give what the insurance companies, they charge us according to the age, or what we tell them is you blend that across the number of lives, and that accordingly we do that. And why you have to take? Because your parents are getting covered, the newborns are getting covered from day one. And if you go out and take any policy, you have a 3 years wait. But when you take a group thing from the company, you don't have a wait. So that's how. And then with the banking financial institutions, we tell them this is our base cover. As you can help the employees to give a top-up cover. So that's how we take, and blend that in the pay structures.
So the next is, in this era of cutting edge technologies, how are you innovating, and what are some of the best practices around payroll compliance?
Compliance, can't say, they're still waiting for the labor codes to come.
So in our organization, what we have done is we have digitized it. I mean, we are using payroll compliance software. Wherein we need to update that regularly, and so that it is well captured and more systemized. And we can always, there's a dashboard around it, then we can know what is the status of all compliance, what are the approvals, what are the level of approvals that are required, what status it is. So that is managed, that is helping us to really track those compliances related to payroll better.
So same here, we use Avantis software, and because ours is a multi-locational company, and it all look and corner of India, we need to ensure that we are complying on all fronts related to salary. So we manage all these things through this software and through a proper approval metrics. And as he said, we also keep a check on the overall dashboard that whether all the necessary things have been complied within due course of time or not.
Must be even the HR audits.
Yes, HR audits also happens.
Yeah.
I just want to do a small poll here. So how many of you have outsourced your payroll services? I mean, you can just show your hands. Yeah. I think there are quite a few of you. So I think minus 1, 2. I think who did not raise hand here, this side? You did not raise it. So you also did not. So 4 out of 12 do not have. Okay. And so the ones that you have, what is that you look for when you are selecting a payroll partner?
Flexibility. The number of salary changes that has happened in the past 3 years. Every time we do a salary change, whether it's a reduction or an increment, bhale chalo, you don't need an employee's acceptance. They are all accepting it. But when it's a reduction, I also need to be compliant with their acceptance. Now, I am a dynamic organization. I don't know when the business goes up. COVID, we were zero. Our reservoir was zero. So we still saved this. And the only thing I was looking at as a support was how can I comply even when I'm reducing an employee's salary. Flexibility with which they could give me provisional pay slips every quarter to tell an employee that this is where you stand. Flexibility on the minimum wage, the check on that, the compliance, because I am spread across 24 states. And every state has a different minimum, and suddenly kabhi kuch change ho jata hai and you don't even realize unless and until someone shoots it and says, hey, it's changed. So that kind of a compliance, though we are reducing or we are increasing, our foundation on that needs to be really strong so that it kind of relieves our mind. As an HR professional, I need to be kind of relaxed on that perspective. So that check needs to be really the pillar.
So flexibility
Pooja,
and
one is
compliance.
Technology platform, compliance management. If I talk just about India, then data security.
Data security is
GDPR compliance for if you're a global company. And as Deldu said, I'm getting the name right.
Yes.
Flexibility. So Rahul, we worked with ADP when I was in Deutsche Bank. I think one of the, at that time, I'm talking 10 years back, and ADP have a global arrangement with Deutsche Bank. I think where we, and I think it's India specific problem because in rest of the world we follow the payroll to the T. India में कुछ ज़्यादा last minute request आती है. And we had to kind of request कि our Deutsche India payroll should be with a local partner like an HGS and Harish Chopra's of the world, more for flexibility. But I think the idea is the discipline as an organization, process, cut off, financial leakages nahi honi chahiye. And I think that's the key. I come from a banking background. I've worked 14 years in MNC Bank. That financial leakage is one of the critical aspects that I keep telling my colleagues across the world. Audits on payroll are a must in my organization. I've seen a fraud in one of my earlier organizations. How maker-checker arrangements get compromised, passwords get shared, and money can move. Satyam was a great example, right? So I think that's very important. Financial integrity is very important for the partner for me.
I think integration aspect is really important. Every organization using different systems in-house. So the new payroll software platform should be able to integrate with existing systems. That is really important.
And I think the payroll system should also have different entities, like wherein every project or every view is treated the way, so multiple entities should be allowed. I don't know, I have one question for the who all are using this. When the increment happens, you give certain percentages hike, right? So normally when you put it in the system, it goes across all the components. Does that happen or?
Any particular software we are using BI for an example. And you just need to put in the percentage and it will.
Because a lot of employees come to us saying that I don't want the hike in one thing, keep this small and I want a more percentage into the basket and all that. So that time the customization goes very.
Actually, one should follow proper CTC structure.
Correct.
Right?
But that is with the base, right? The main.
No. So once you are giving a raise,
overall
first it is always advisable that calculate that actually increase in monthly gross, right? And then as per your standard formula, like the distribution should be basic, should be allowance, should be variable pay. So you can actually standardize that.
Yeah, with the new labor code that will come, it will talk about forcing 50% of your CTC has to be your base salary, right? And all the benefits have to be then calculated on that, your PF and all the statutory. But nowadays, whenever there is an increment talks and then people come up with, no, don't increase my variable pay, don't increase all that. So don't apply that, whatever percentage is there across all the components, those requests.
Payroll provision point of view, of course, I sort of resonate with all that is said, that one is in regards to flexibility of the system, different entities. I face that constantly with my organization. We have various structures, various benefits, various allowances which are tagged to certain business units. So the system needs to have that level of flexibility to provide that. But what is very, very important from my perspective, and I sort of resonate with what Raman said, I come from a banking world, compliances and stability of the system or vulnerability of the system, right? Because recent times we have seen a lot of cybersecurity attacks, we've seen all of these malwares and all of that happening, right? So it's today I think it's very critical about how vulnerable the system is or how secure the system is. What are the kind of protocols or what are the kind of cyber security measures that are being taken by the organization to ensure protection to your partner's data? And with PDP, whether it comes or not, but when you're working in a global organization with GDPR and PI and all of these, it becomes very critical the kind of partners you engage with in terms of how confidential and sensitive it is.
So there are a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I need to be back in office. We just finished a board meeting yesterday, so some urgent announcements.
No worries. I'm aware, Raman.
I have
Yeah.
Thank you so
Please,
much.
it
Pleasure
was
meeting
nice
all of you.
Yeah,
having you.
same
Yeah,
here.
I'll probably be in touch with your
Absolutely.
team. I'm
I
looking
will.
for a global payroll partner. Thank you. Pleasure meeting you all.
Thank
Please
you.
carry on. Hope to stay in touch with all of you.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
will. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are a few thoughts, right? And these are 4 things which are opposing each other, right? Flexibility. So when we have flexibility, we have to compromise on standardization, right? When we compromise on standardization, the possibility of errors may creep in, and that may lead to compliance errors as well, right? Because flexibility and standardization are different. One way to mitigate is simplify, right? So, which brings the best of both worlds. You need flexibility, of course, and we need to define flexibility in what areas very clearly, because more flexibility also indicates indiscipline. It indicates lack of planning, lack of adherence of processes, etc. Right? So, and it's not payroll, right? So payroll is just one function which receives inputs and provides output, but it's the collection of inputs from various HR stakeholders and various organizations, right? So how flexible are they? The more flexible they are, the data integrity would have challenges. So we got to simplify that, right? So that's an interesting thing. Flexibility is required, last minute, etc. We understand but then it has to be a standardized approach. It's a fine balance all the time, right? And it's always a trade-off, give and take, right? But I'm saying, when we are designing systems and scaling it up, that's important. One last point on data security, right? So cyber security threats, etc. So today, so I was listening to one of our experts, right? So, and you would not believe it. We were talking about an organization called Conti, CONTI. This is it's available in dark web, and I'm just giving an example, right? So this organization has an HR department, finance department, CEO, revenues, etc. They don't have a legal and ethical department, and that's a organized hacking group, and there are plenty available, right? And then they have their evangelists, they have their partners who will hack the data, passwords, supply to that, and everything has a price, etc. It's very, very organized. So it's not about a teenager sitting in mom's basement and trying to hack data. Those days are gone, right? It's so very well organized. And it's a question of, it's not if, it's a question of when cyber attack is going to happen, right? I mean, we manage huge amount of data. I mean, data is what runs our organization and our clients and so on and so forth. So we are very, very particular about that. The point I'm making is that data security, data privacy, they are two different things. And when the right to be forgotten comes in the next amendments of data privacy laws, I think that will create a little bit of a challenge for many HR departments, at least in India, right? It'll an employee says, hey, my data has to be erased, but we can't erase it because it's required for compliance purposes, right? For audit reasons. So what elements can be erased? Can we anonymize the data and still keep the data? Those are the challenges that we have to discover and face within India itself in next 6 months or so, right? So I'm saying data security, data privacy, in my mind, becomes top in the agenda.
Absolutely. And to your point, Rahul, I actually look at my payroll partners beyond the regular payroll process. I look at them as alternative to the Mercers and the Aons of the world, right? You are sitting on this massive salary data in terms of industry-wise salary data, rank-wise, level-wise. if I could get some access without obviously providing any names and security details, but if you can be a mercer to me at half the cost, that's something that I would be interested in, right? Because that's just for the organization, for that payroll partner to pull out that data, do some data analytics, and throw out salary reports in terms of benchmarking exercises and all of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the how it works from a confidentiality point of view with the partners and the organization.
So it's all about anonymization of data. For example, in the US, much of the benchmarking surveys that we have, they are bought by real estate companies. And you would wonder why are real estate companies? Because in Manhattan, they would the price of a flat or an apartment is dependent on what's a salary earning in that area, right? And for that, they need data from ADP, right? So it's interesting, right? So the benchmarking data has not only uses within the HR fraternity, but also in many other business applications.
And actually, Sheetal, to respond to you, there are quite a lot of reports that are nowadays freely available.
Yes.
In terms of salary benchmarking. What could be the way structuring for various countries also. It's not just India. So you find those freely available. You just need to be a part of some HR.
You need to participate in that survey. Then you
Share
can
your
participate.
role,
In fact,
native, all of them.
Especially just
they'll ask
before
data.
we advise on our annual increments. We do a lot of reading internally because now again, as an HR also I have to look at cost optimization. So can't enroll myself for benchmarking practices, but these are the reports that typically help.
So here's where I face the challenge personally, where my CFOs and the CEOs will sort of question, because survey data tend to have a little bit ambiguity. But if a data is coming from the likes of an ADP, that's your real-time, real data right there.
If you can get free access to
that. All the agencies, they get you to participate also. So Mercer does.
Yes.
AO does. I don't know, I'm sure.
So we have not launched that in India, and the reason is the amount of data that we have is huge, right? So we have like 1 million plus and so on and so forth. If we have to really do a decent job, the amount of servers, the amount of calculations, the amount of power that it requires is huge, right? It requires an army of data scientists. So we believe we are still a couple of years away, right? So we have something called as data cloud, right? So which has huge petabytes of data to kind of cleanse and churn out reports. And I think if we have to give reports to our to the HR fraternity, it has to be accurate and it has to be live in real time, right? Because now it's like what's the data in Coimbatore? You have distributed workforce, so you're not looking at that particular city itself, and you're looking at multiple dimensions, right? And therefore, it has to be really authentic and practical and real time. And I think still we are a couple of years away.
So the reports which are available on participation, of course, are different. They're generic reports, but when you pay, then you get those specific reports.
Focused reports, you will definitely need to go that extra.
So I guess it's time to close this discussion, and thank you for joining us today. It's very insightful discussion, and definitely, as the report says, and as some of you also mentioned, payroll is kind of becoming an engine for people centricity, and there is some amount of time and effort and training that's required for your payroll leaders and managers who are taking care of it. And innovation and cutting edge technology is definitely helping.